How's it going, everybody? I am ZBilbs, and I'm back here with another Metal Albums Ranked video. And today, since it is a new year, that means it is time to try new things. And if any of you know my channel, you'll know that when it comes to metal, power metal is my absolute favorite subgenre. I have a harder time getting into a little bit of the more sort of extreme subgenres, death metal, groove metal, grindcore, and then one of those most definitely is black metal. I really like more clean vocals and clean melodies with the crazy lo-fi and the raspy, screamy vocals of black metal. I've just never been able to get into it until I discovered a couple of these bands that one of which obviously is Agalloch, which is what I'm going over today. So a few months ago, I found some more like kind of introductory black metal bands, which are not exactly core black metal, and I've gotten into them. Agalloch is atmospheric black metal, kind of fringe folk metal. I've also gotten into Alcest and Dimmu Borgir. So while all of these bands, a lot of their elements, I'm still, when they're more core black metal, I have a harder time getting into them. But when there's more of a mix, I have really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that these bands have done, and definitely Agalloch is absolutely great introductory black metal and just great music in general. All right, with that being said, let's just jump into my list of ranking the 5 Agalloch albums from my least favorite to my favorite. So starting off at number 5, I've got The Serpent and the Sphere. Now, while all of the Agalloch albums I can say are like good to great, this is the one exception that I would say I really don't care much for it at all. For me, Agalloch, one of the most unique and one of my favorite aspects of Agalloch is just that folky nature of it, how it, mixes all of these just interesting folky elements, whether that be just, the instrumentals, the type of percussion that they use, the background sounds of river, or of clomping through snow, or of the wind. This album absolutely does away with all of that, and instead it goes for some sort of weird, almost like, I don't know, like Cthulhu sort of creepy, weird, cosmic type thing. And I really don't understand the vision or what they were really going for with this album. I mean, there's definitely good stuff on here, but nothing really sticks with me that much. Obviously, Agalloch, they kind of mix in instrumentals with their songs, with vocals as well, and the best stuff from this album is the instrumental pieces. The Serpens Kata, Cor Serpentis, Serpens Kaput, and Plateau of the Ages are all pretty solid instrumentals, but besides that, I really didn't care for any of the just main songs. Partially it's because also the vocals were even more like black metal-esque than usual, I would say. So that didn't quite appeal to me, but just as a whole, this kind of does away with the style and the vibe that I've enjoyed from other Agalloch albums. So for me, definitely The Serpent and the Sphere is easily my least favorite. Moving on, I have got at number 4, Morrow of the Spirit, or Marrow of the Spirit, I don't know. From here on up, these are all solid albums. Marrow of the Spirit, this is considered a really great Agalloch album. I think Quest for Metal has, I recently commented on one of his videos, and he's saying like now that Marrow of the Spirit is his favorite Agalloch album. And I get that because this, out of all of them, it is probably the most like core to just straight up black metal. Whereas I think John Hamm, the singer, his vocals, he does a mix between more clean vocals, and then he has like the more black metal rasp in there. But usually, even when he has the black metal rasp, it's still like kind of subdued, or it's in the background, or it's like kind of a cold like rasp. I don't know how to best describe it. Whereas this album, it is probably the darkest atmosphere, and that includes John Hamm singing in there. And obviously for fans of just straight up black metal, that's really going to appeal to them. for me is not quite as, a core liking into that. It doesn't quite appeal to me as much, but it does still keep the whole like kind of folky vibes, the cold, wintry-esque. So I really enjoyed when it played into that. Also, the songs, there's only 6 on here, but it definitely goes for a much more artistic style where there's longer, more like epic pieces, which I really appreciated the vision. And some of these are really great too. Ghosts of the Midwinter Fires is solid. They Escaped the Weight of Darkness was just an excellent opening instrumental. And definitely, I think the one masterpiece on this album is Blackleg Nidstang or Nidstang. I have no idea how to say that. It's 17 minutes. And even though it's, really dark and kind of creepy and foreboding, I love all the different styles. This is one instance where I think the dark black metal vocal style absolutely worked and just added to like the, creepy, almost like you're in a dark woods at night kind of feel to it. And it was just a great song and overall a solid album, but just not quite my style, so that's why I can't put it any higher than 4. All right, next up at number 3, I've got Agalloch's debut album, Pale Folklore. Now this is just solid Agalloch across the board. This is, it's where they started, and already just right off the bat, they got their footing down really well. They have their, unique folky style. I think this is more acoustics than any other Agalloch album, which I really appreciate. It doesn't have it has little to no clean vocals, which I really love the mix of the clean and the raspy vocals, but of course more of the Spirit and Obserpent and Sphere don't have that either. So that's probably a bias that the ones that have the clean vocals get elevated a little bit for me. But it's still got a lot of other great stuff besides that. This is probably the most folky of all of the Agalloch albums, but it's definitely still got that signature Agalloch style. Some of the best songs in here: She Painted Fire Across the Skyline, The Misshapen Steed is an excellent instrumental, As Embers Dress the Sky, The Melancholy Spirit. So overall, just a really, really solid Agalloch album, but it doesn't quite do anything that makes it reach the heights of these next couple albums coming up here. But overall, Pale Folklore is still a really solid album at number 3. Moving on to number 2, I have got Ashes Against the Grain. This is another absolute classic Agalloch album, and yeah, for good reason. It's a great album. It doesn't feel quite as folky as some other ones. I really don't know the theme here. It still has obviously the signature Agalloch style, so it's good for that, and just the music just in general is really solid, but I don't know, it doesn't have quite as a consistency to its theme throughout, and that's what I really like in Agalloch albums, what they do for most of their styles, so that definitely detracts from it a little bit. That being said, the individual songs in this album are just absolutely excellent. Now you got Falling Snow, Fire Above, Ice Below, Our Fortress is Burning. I love part 1 and part 2 Bloodbirds. The third part is some weird, like, I don't even know, it's not really my thing. And then the absolute masterpiece in this album is definitely Not Unlike the Waves, is absolutely excellent. So overall, there are definitely a lot of really solid albums. It's not higher because it doesn't have that sort of consistent theme. It's a type of album where I might want to go and pick out song here and there and listen to it, but I wouldn't really want to listen to it as a whole, which I suppose can be said for pretty much all of the albums on this list besides my number 1. And also note, there is a very, very big gap between my number 2 and my number 1. While I do like Ashes Against the Grain, for me it just absolutely pales compared to my favorite. But yeah, that's Ashes Against the Grain at number 2. And now before I get into number 1, I'm not ranking any Agalloch EPs, but if I did, they would actually be right here between 2 and 1. I would have, in this order, I would have of Stone, Wind, and Pillar. And then I would have the White EP. I think both of those are absolutely fantastic. The White EP in particular just kind of feels like my number one pick, like the same style and vibe of it, just not quite as a complete of a package. But both of those EPs are absolutely spectacular. And then my number one pick, it should be obvious at this point, but it is the Mantle. I've got the shirt on right here. It's a freaking amazing album. This is really the album that got me into black metal or pseudo black metal. I don't know if you even count Agalloch as true black metal, but this is just an absolute masterpiece. When I first tried to listen to it, it was when I just couldn't really do any of the non-clean type vocals, and I got really put off to it. And then I read somewhere that you should view those raspy vocals more as like a cold wind through barren trees. And once I heard that, just everything clicked. And this album, like, not only is it the best Agalloch album, it is honestly one of the best albums I have ever heard. There's just, the way it goes through, just from start to finish, it's just a complete package. It's not the type of album that you can really pick song from song and just listen to it. It's the song that's like, it's an experience. It's a journey through from, alternating from one with vocals to instrumental. While I don't necessarily think it's a concept album in terms of story, it all has one very, similar structural theme to it that carries throughout. The themes of nature, of loss, of the cold, like, wintry vibes to it. It's just absolutely beautiful. I cannot express enough how much I love this album. So if you haven't heard this album, then what are you doing? Go listen to it. But my guess is if you've clicked on this video, you've heard it already. But yeah, that is my list for my Agalloch albums ranked. So let me know, do you agree with this list? Do you not? How would you rank the Agalloch albums? Stay tuned. I've got a couple more black metal bands or pseudo black metal bands, kind of introductory ones, coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's all I've got for you. I will see you later.